There was a man who was a terrorist of his time. He was a persecutor of the Lord's church. This man took great zeal in his traditions. He had great zeal for his traditions. He was brought up with. He was a zealot for the calling that he had to go and to persecute the Lord's church because he thought he was right in his mind. And so he went out and he held the coats of those who would stone believers and professors of the faith of Jesus. He would hold the coats of those who stoned to death Christians, followers of the way, dragged them to prison. He was a persecutor of the Lord's church, essentially a terrorist of his day to the Lord's people. But one great day, as he was walking on his way to do another mission of persecuting the Lord's church, one day as he's walking, this great light shone around him. The great light shone around him as he's on his way to persecute this church. His mind set on going to kill people who love God and drag them to prison. The light shone around him, and all of a sudden, the voice began to speak through the light. And the voice that didn't come from a person in the moment, but the voice began to speak, and the partners who were with him heard this same voice. The voice said, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Saul asked the question, "Who are you, Lord? Who are you, Lord?" And the voice replied, "I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting." Saul that day had a direct encounter, a miraculous encounter with the Lord Jesus himself, the risen, resurrected Lord Jesus. He has a direct encounter, and in that moment, his mentality begins to change forever. This miraculous encounter begins to push him to pursue something new. There's a new fervor, a new zeal he has, and now this zeal changes from going against the church of God to for the church of God. Today, you heard us reading from Romans chapter 12, which is one of the letters that Paul wrote for the churches of God once he grew in his faith and got to know more about who this was who had spoke to him and get to learn the correct way about Jesus. He began to write on behalf of the Lord's church, the church that he once persecuted, the church that once his mentality drove him to kill people or hold the coats of those who stoned people who believed in this way. His change was so powerful that his name changed from Saul to Paul. Remember, I said Saul, Saul, right? But his name changed. Not only did his mentality change, but his name changed. And many of y'all sitting here, your name hasn't necessarily changed. Maybe some of you ladies or gentlemen, however you do it, your last name may have changed. But your first name is usually the same unless you went to the state and changed it. Some of y'all say, "My past is so messed up, I need to go change my first name." That did not come from me. But some of us feel that way. Maybe I should go change my name because, man, I done so much wrong. But Saul's name changed to Paul. And there was a specific context to that. I'm not going into all that today. But it took a miracle for Saul, who became Paul, to have his mind transformed to begin to live the way that God is pleased with. Where he thought he was living right, he was actually living wrong. And as he began to go forward and do what God called him to do, then he began to break that mentality that he had before that was in error. Today's title is simple: breaking the mentality that keeps us comfortable in our sin. Okay, if you're searching for fresh tools and instruction to deepen your relationship with God, this is definitely the channel for you. So make sure you subscribe and click the notifications bell for all of our videos. I want to thank you in advance for your subscription and look forward to having some good time and communication with you. Have a good one.